What if GMC took everything you love about a full-size American truck and turned it into something that looks like it came straight out of the future? Because this is the 2027 GMC Custom AeroHauler. And before we go any further, there's something important you need to know. The AeroHauler is not an officially announced GMC production vehicle. It's a custom concept-style creation, inspired by the design language and technology direction of GMC's upcoming trucks, especially the redesigned 2027 Sierra 1500. And honestly, that might make this machine even more interesting. At first glance, the AeroHauler looks like a completely different interpretation of what a GMC truck can be. It has the presence of a heavy-duty American pickup, but the body appears much more streamlined, almost like someone asked, what would happen if a luxury hauler, a futuristic pickup, and a high-speed grand tourer were blended into one machine? And the result is seriously hard to ignore. The name AeroHauler says a lot. This isn't supposed to be a delicate show car. It's built around the idea of moving big things, traveling long distances, and doing it with a level of style you normally wouldn't expect from a traditional truck. And that brings us to the front. The face is unmistakably GMC-inspired, with a wide, commanding grille and a bold lighting signature that gives the vehicle an intimidating presence. But instead of relying purely on massive boxy proportions, the AeroHauler concept pushes the bodywork toward a more aerodynamic shape. The hood flows smoothly into the front fascia, the surfaces look tightly sculpted, and the overall profile feels lower and more purposeful. It's the kind of design that makes you look twice. And that's important, because GMC has already been moving in this direction with the real 2027 Sierra 1500. GMC describes the new Sierra as its most advanced, luxurious, and powerful Sierra lineup yet, with a completely redesigned exterior and a more refined interior. So while the AeroHauler itself isn't an official GMC model, its visual philosophy fits surprisingly well with where the real brand is heading. Now look along the side, and the concept gets even more interesting. Instead of a conventional pickup silhouette, the AeroHauler appears to stretch the proportions dramatically. The cabin feels substantial. The rear section looks purpose-built for hauling or extended travel, and the body creates this unusual balance between utility and luxury. You could almost imagine taking this thing across the country, not just to tow something, but to make the journey itself the experience. And that's where the AeroHauler idea becomes fascinating, because modern truck buyers don't necessarily want to choose between capability and comfort anymore. They want both. They want something that can handle work during the week, adventure on the weekend, and still feel premium enough for a long highway trip. The real 2027 Sierra 1500 is clearly moving toward that philosophy as well. GMC has announced redesigned interiors, expanded technology, available premium materials, panoramic sunroof availability, and a class-exclusive articulating center screen with hidden storage. Now imagine taking that philosophy and pushing it even further. Inside an AeroHauler-style concept, the cabin would naturally be the place where the truck stops feeling like a traditional work vehicle and starts feeling like a luxury command center. The emphasis would be on space, visibility, technology, and long-distance comfort. And there's already some impressive technology coming to the actual 2027 Sierra. GMC says the truck can offer more than 60 inches of combined digital displays, including a 12.2-inch driver information display, a 16.3-inch center screen, and an available 11.5-inch front passenger display. That's a lot of screen real estate for a pickup. But the most interesting part isn't necessarily the size of those displays. It's how the technology is being integrated into the vehicle. The upcoming Sierra's available articulating center screen can move to provide access to hidden storage, while available Super Cruise adds hands-free driver assistance with trailering capability. And that combination tells you something about the direction of modern premium trucks. They're becoming rolling technology platforms without completely abandoning their utility. Now let's talk about what the AeroHauler could represent mechanically. Because this is where we have to separate the real truck from the concept. There are no official GMC engine specifications for a vehicle called the AeroHauler, and there's no verified production performance data to quote. So rather than invent horsepower numbers or pretend GMC has announced something it hasn't, we have to look at the real technology underneath the inspiration. For the 2027 Sierra 1500, GMC has announced two new 6th-generation naturally aspirated V8 engines, a 5.S even-liter and a 6.0-liter, along with an enhanced Turbomax and the available 3.0-liter Duramax turbo diesel. All available engines are paired with a 10-speed automatic transmission. That gives the real Sierra an extremely broad personality. You can have a truck designed around efficiency and everyday usability, another focused on V8 power, and another aimed at diesel torque and long-distance capability. And then there's the AT4X. This is where things get seriously interesting. The 2027 Sierra AT4X introduces 35-inch mud-terrain tires, Multimatic Jounce control dampers, and front and rear electronic locking differentials. GMC says these systems are designed to improve traction, control, and composure in demanding off-road conditions. So even though the AeroHauler is a custom concept rather than a factory model, the engineering philosophy behind its GMC inspiration isn't just about looking futuristic. It's about combining serious capability with refinement. And that matters when you imagine the AeroHauler doing what its name suggests. Picture a long highway run with a trailer behind it. You don't want a vehicle that feels nervous or exhausting after several hours. You want stability, confidence, visibility, comfortable seating, useful technology, and enough capability that the trailer doesn't constantly feel like a burden. That's exactly where modern GMC trucks are trying to go. But there is one big question. Would something this large and visually complex actually make sense in the real world? Well, that's where the downsides start to appear. A vehicle designed around extreme presence and luxury would almost certainly be expensive and complicated to build. Large dimensions can make tight urban spaces more difficult. Big wheels and specialized bodywork can increase running costs. And if the design becomes too focused on appearance, you can quickly lose the practical simplicity that makes traditional trucks so appealing. That's the trade-off. More technology can mean more complexity. More luxury can mean more weight. More dramatic styling can mean more compromises. And that's why the best truck isn't necessarily the one that looks the most futuristic. It's the one that knows where to stop. The real 2027 Sierra seemed to understand that balance. GMC is offering multiple personalities, from the work-focused Pro to Elevation, AT4, AT4X, Denali, and Denali Ultimate, giving buyers different combinations of capability, luxury, and technology. The AeroHauler concept takes that idea and stretches it into something much more extreme. It feels like the truck of someone who doesn't simply want transportation. They want a statement. They want to pull up somewhere and have people wonder what they're looking at. And honestly, that's the appeal of a custom concept. It doesn't have to follow the same rules as a production vehicle. It can exaggerate the proportions. It can blend categories. It can take a familiar GMC identity and imagine where that design language could go next. And maybe that's the most exciting thing about this particular machine. The AeroHauler isn't important because GMC has announced it. It hasn't. It's important because it gives us a visual question. What could a future GMC hauler look like if maximum utility, premium comfort, and aerodynamic design were treated as equally important? And when you compare that idea with the direction of the real 2027 Sierra 1500, the future suddenly doesn't seem quite as crazy. GMC is already bringing new V8 technology, redesigned interiors, expanded driver assistance technology, advanced trailering capability, and a much more technology-focused cabin to the next generation Sierra. So maybe the AeroHauler isn't the future itself. Maybe it's a preview of the kind of future people are beginning to imagine. And if GMC ever decided to build something this radical, the biggest challenge wouldn't be making it look impressive. That's easy. The real challenge would be making all that drama useful, because at the end of the day a GMC has to do more than turn heads. It has to haul, tow, travel, work, protect its occupants, and survive real-world abuse. That's what separates a beautiful concept from a great vehicle. And for the AeroHauler, that final test remains unanswered because this is a custom concept, not a production GMC with verified specifications or crash test results. But as a vision, yeah, I have to admit this one is hard to forget. It takes the familiar American truck formula and asks a very modern question. What if the next generation of hauling machines didn't have to look like traditional trucks at all? And maybe that's why the 2027 GMC Custom AeroHauler feels so fascinating. It isn't necessarily showing us what GMC will build tomorrow. It's showing us what GMC-inspired design could look like when someone refuses to play it safe. And if the real 2027 Sierra is already moving toward more technology, more refinement, and more capability, then who knows? Maybe a future truck that looks this wild isn't as impossible as it seems. So now I'm curious, would you actually drive something like the GMC AeroHauler every day? Or is this the kind of machine that looks incredible on screen, but belongs nowhere near a parking lot? Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you enjoy seeing where automotive design could go next, stick with CrashIQ, because the next concept might be even crazier.